Hi there, it's Dr. Mary Barbera here, and I am jumping on to do a live about autism and safety and talk about chapter 3 of my new book, Turn Autism Around, an action guide for parents of young children with early signs of autism. If you are here, if you could leave a comment, that would be awesome. Let me go one more place and we will get going. So I am going live for day number 7 out of 30. As I said, I am Dr. Mary Barbera, and we are going live every day in March to discuss my new book, Turn Autism Around, an action guide for parents of young children with early signs of autism. And today I'm specifically going to be discussing safety, which is chapter 3. And we're going to be giving some pointers. Lily Daisy is here for 7th day in a row. She is coming to us from Australia. She's part of my online community and a top fan here. So thank you so much for joining us. Okay, and we have Jennifer and Swire's Cold. Yes, someone asked, can you ask questions? Yes, you can. I will be on for about 15 minutes today. I am hopping on every day in March to discuss my new book, Turn Autism Around. And I am also going to go ahead and put my little thingy on so you can get all the details about pre-ordering the book, and then you can fill in your information, your name, your email address, and your customer ID of when you purchase the book, and then you can come join our launch team, which includes over 525 over that, parents and professionals, grandparents, all interested in the Turn Autism Around approach. Many of them are in my online community with my paid courses, but many of them have just pre-ordered the book, just learned about me. For those of you that don't know me, I fell into the autism world 2 decades ago when my son Lucas started showing signs of autism when he was 21 months of age. And then he went on to get the diagnosis of moderate to severe autism the day before he was 3. I became a board certified behavior analyst, earned a PhD, wrote a best-selling book called The Verbal Behavior Approach, How to Teach Children with Autism and Related Disorders. It was published in 2007. It's available in over a dozen languages. I started my online courses in 2015 and became an award-winning online course creator, also a podcaster, Turn Autism Around, same name as my new book. This is already a bestseller, getting #1 bestseller in 5 different categories on Amazon. So I will take a couple questions, then I'll dive into the safety topic. Okay. So Swire said, my autistic child reacts to certain words very extremely. If you say stop, he screams from the top of his lungs. What can we do? So, and how do we stop him from talking back? He will always talk back. So those kind of questions, how do you increase behavior you want, like talking nicely, talking more, talking at all, or to reduce a problem behavior like screaming, we need to do an assessment, a plan. We need to know the child's age and ability level. And so reactive strategies, like timeout, I would not recommend anything like that. In my book, I talk about behavior reduction. I talk about how to get kids talking. I give you a 1-page assessment, 1-page plan. In the lives from the last couple of days, you can go on Facebook, marybarbera.com/Facebook to watch my first lives for the first 6 days and rewatch this one. So it's got to be a comprehensive plan. So if you're looking for a quick fix to solve screaming or talking back, it's not going to work. And if I gave you some quick strategies, they would be reactive strategies, and you really need to spend 95% of your time preventing problem behaviors. So sorry, I can't give you more advice on that, but I do think that somebody else has a question about how do you get them to eat. There's a whole chapter in the book about picky eating with really good strategies. You can also, in the meantime, you can search after this live, you can search Mary Autism plus your topic, like eating. I have some video blogs, I have podcasts on eating. You can also search Stopping Screaming and see some of the video blogs I've already produced on the subject. But you will find that I do say a lot that we need to spend 95% of our time preventing problem behaviors and not reacting to them. So that you're going to hear throughout. Lily says, love coming home from work to listen to live posts. I love the fact that you're here. We have a concerned grandmother from North Carolina. I'll tell you, we have many grandmothers in our online courses and community, and we also have many, I'd say dozens, at least over a dozen grandmothers in our book launch team. So if you pre-order the book, you can join our launch team, and on the screen is turnautismaround.com. That's where you want to go. And Jennifer said, that's my kid. She screams at trigger words like no. Yeah. I had a client once he was in a school, and he was probably in 4th grade or 6th grade or something like, probably 4th grade. And I go in for my first consultation, and they say, this boy, I don't know what his name was. I wouldn't tell it if I did know. So say Nick. So Nick is over there. He's in the blue shirt, and the thing you can't say to Nick is okay. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I realized how many times I said okay. Even I was saying okay to somebody else, and he came over and kicked me in the knee. I was like, oh man. So I get what you're saying. And the problem is you can't just react to that. That's got to be standing back. What's the age? What's the ability level? All the strategies in my book, in my online courses. And actually, the higher the language, like the initial poster who was talking about screaming and talking back, that means that the child has some language to talk back. It gets more complicated. The more language a child has, the trickier it gets. I really specialize in kids that aren't conversational. Like my first book and this book are more for kids who are not conversational, either not speaking in one word, 2 words, little sentences, phrases, not answering and asking questions routinely. But I will tell you that if I had a child who was conversational but still having problem behaviors like screaming or talking back, I would definitely read this book, because all of these strategies work for even typically developing kids. And they're just great ways that you can engage your child. Okay, we have another person from Australia in the house, and we have Ria. Ria has been on 2 of my podcasts. That's RIA. So if you want to search Mary Autism and Ria, you can hear from Ria directly. Her son has made a lot of progress with my online courses. My grandson is obsessed with balloons and things that fly. Is that common? Obsessions and restricted interests. Yes, that's very common. I think day 2 or day 3 of my Facebook Lives, I did it about the early signs of autism, which is chapter 2 of my book. Okay, and Michelle Clemens is here. She said, I can't wait for your new book. And then Kim said, will this book be from one end of the spectrum to another, or do you cover all of it? As I just said, I'm mostly covering in this book kids ages 1 to 5, either their real chronologic age or older kids who are functioning at a 1 to 5-year-old level in terms of talking, eating, sleeping, potty training, going to the doctor's, dentist, haircuts, But if you have a child of any ability level that's having problems in these areas, I would definitely recommend the book. Okay, let me talk about safety, and then if I have time, I'll jump back on and answer a few more questions. And if you have a safety question, maybe highlight that. Because today I'm talking about safety, which is chapter 3 of my book. So I did a survey a while back, and I asked parents of young children, toddlers and preschoolers, what their number one concerns were. Was it talking, tantrums, eating, sleeping, potty training, when I was developing my toddler course. And actually the highest percentage, I think it was about 70% of parents were actually concerned about, their number one concern across the board was safety, that their children were getting into really unsafe situations. And I know I start out the chapter talking about Chino, who was not even 3 years of age. And all of a sudden, his mom was trying to get him dressed in the morning, and all his clothes were not in the dresser. So she said to the dad, did you move Chino's clothes? And dad said, no. And so they're like, well, where did Chino's clothes go? And here, Chino, who, like I said, was not a big boy, he was not quite 3 years of age, he had managed to open a second floor window, throw all his clothes out on the roof, and then close the window. And this was an older house. So those windows, you know how tough windows are to open and close. So I start the chapter talking about Chino, and, you know, that could have been a much worse situation. In fact, one of my clients wandered. I worked with him when he was 2 and 3 years of age. And then I was friends, Facebook friends with his mom in the later years. And he was 6. And on a sunny day, on a Saturday, he wandered away from his home and he drowned in a neighbor's pool. So these are two stories, one extremely tragic, and I've had his mom actually on a Facebook Live, the boy who drowned, because she's a huge advocate for safety precautions. I know with Lucas, he wandered away from the home. He got out of the double stroller once when my husband had him at the mall. He got lost at a mall. He got lost when we were renting a beach house. He left the home. And that was the time when he really loved water. I mean, the number one cause of death in children with autism is drowning. So I could tell you more horrific stories, but there's no doubt that children with autism have extreme problems with safety awareness, whether that's traffic, water, strangers. Even my son now, he's 24 years of age, and he has moderate severe autism and intellectual disability. And while we could physically teach him to call 911, he doesn't have the cognitive ability to know when there's dangers. He is aware of cars. He can move over to the side. He can ride a bike or a scooter and hear a car and move over. He can, he's aware, much more so than when he was little. But as kids grow up, they physically get bigger and stronger. Even I was surprised that Chino could operate the second floor window. But those are the kind of things that are highlighted in this chapter. So first we talk about safety in the homes with locks and alarms and doorknob covers and eye hooks on doors. Like you could, if the child is getting into bedrooms, and needs a lot of supervision and is destroying things or being dangerous, you can get an eye hook and close the doors and put the eye hook on so that your child is in a safe room. You can use gates, electrical covers on outlets, notifying your neighbors and the local police department that your child has autism or developmental delays. You can get a medical alert bracelet. They have GPS systems now. I talk about window locks and having a fire safety plan. Actually, while I was writing this chapter, there was a woman, Fada, and her son, Moo, who died tragically in a house fire. And So actually, while I was working on the last draft of this, I said get window locks, but then I added another bullet point of make sure the windows can be operated by an adult, because, you don't want to have the windows so locked that they can't be opened in case of a fire. And we need fire safety plans for families that have a child with autism, for families that don't have a child with autism. I talk about gates. I talk about securing furniture to the wall, because as children, especially as they get older, they could climb on the dresser, pull dressers down on themselves. And I do know of a situation where a child not even with autism was killed by pulling a large piece of furniture on them. Cooking and anti-scald devices. I mean, it sounds like I don't know, a chapter with a lot of points, but these are all things I've learned over the last 2 decades, not only from my own son, but from hundreds of personal clients and thousands of people I've trained around the world. And then we talk about safety at daycare or school, and then we talk about autism in water and the drowning situation and safety in the community. So I advocated for this chapter to be in the book and to be, early in the book. It's chapter 3, because I know that the information in this chapter could really save a life. So if you are interested, go to turnautismaround.com, pre-order the book, and join us on our launch team. And I do need to go in just a minute, but I will look here and see if anybody has any questions about safety in particular or the book. Okay. And I'm not going to answer general questions. Venetia said we have special locks on our doors. Sometimes I can't even get out of the house. And that's, and because her child does elope from the house. So there are systems. There are like child GPS trackers. They have almost looks like an iPhone in their pocket. Now Lucas is old enough that he carries a wallet with him. He has a non-driver ID on him at all times. He has a iPod Touch with the GPS tracker on. So there's a few safety precautions, and he doesn't elope from the house anymore. And he's very, like I said, aware of parking lots and those such situations. So, okay, well, I do need to leave because Lucas is coming home at 6. And so I just wanted to hop in here and talk about safety. And it is in my book, and I'm super excited that my book is actually coming out, shipping on March 30th. It's available in hardback, in Kindle, and it will be on Audible on March 30th. And I'm reading the book, which I'm excited about. I didn't get a chance to read my first book. So this is day 7. I am going to come back on tomorrow for another episode of a live show. And if you have questions about safety, type them in, and catch you tomorrow for another live show. So have a good one. Bye.